Hi, in this video I'd like to share with you who I am and what it is that I do with business owners to unlock a better future for them and the people around them. I unlock better futures for business owners and the people around them through helping them create companies that can thrive without them. That gives them freedom, and it does that because they have a saleable asset. Now, they may never actually want to sell business, but there will come a time when they choose to, or they have to exit the company. And if you've got a company that can thrive without you, you've got a number of options. Before you get to that point, you can scale it up. But when that point does come, when you do need to exit, you can sell it, you can pass it on to your family, you can take a chairman's role and just enjoy the income that comes from owning that company. Or you can pass it on to your management, whatever. It gives you a whole series of options, and that means you've got freedom. That freedom is important for a variety of reasons. As I say, it gives you the options when you want to exit the company. But in the meantime, it gives you security. Just knowing that you've got those options takes away a lot of the stress. It also actually eases life for those around you, knowing that if anything were to happen to you, the company can survive. That's important to the staff there, it's important to suppliers, and it's important to your family. So there's that element of it. But the other thing that's really important about it is that if you've got a company that can thrive without you, come the time you do pop off on holiday, you don't have to be constantly looking at emails. You don't have to constantly be taking the calls. When there are problems in the business, it doesn't always have to be you that deals with them. It doesn't have to be you that has to go out and get the business all the time. It doesn't have to be you is left firefighting when there's problems, dealing with customer complaints. Having a company that can thrive without you is important, and the freedom it brings is important and makes a massive difference to your quality of life and the work-life balance. So if I can give you an example, it's a very personal example. As a kid, I used to enjoy Christmas. I loved Christmas for all the usual reasons. But one of the reasons that I really enjoyed it was that on Christmas Eve, we'd all pile into the car and head up to London. We'd go and see a children's panto, Christmas panto, see all the Christmas lights, and come out after the panto and head up to Euston to pick up my grandparents. And we'd stand at the top of the ramp there. I don't know if you know Euston Station, but there's a ramp coming up from the platforms. And my grandparents would come up, we'd grab their luggage off them and head back into the car and then drive back to South London where I lived. And along the way, we'd sit there, we'd go and see the Christmas lights, we'd drive along Oxford Street, down Regent Street, through Trafalgar Square, see the Christmas tree. And it was the start of what for me was always a great few days. And the reason it was good was because we got time with our grandparents. My brother and I would be playing, there'd be footy in the park with my granddad. Boxing Day, local team was playing, we'd go and see a match. And over the next few days, there'd be times, say, with grandfather, grandmother, and it was great fun. It was that simple. And then just before New Year, they would head back up north. Now, it wasn't just Christmas that we got to see my grandparents. We'd go up, see them at their place every half term. But it was different. And it was different because when we got up there, yes, we saw them. My granddad would meet us at the station, drive us back, but then he'd pop off back to work. And that kind of set the tone really for the week. He'd be there first thing in the morning, but gone early, gone by 8, and we probably didn't see him until 6, 7 in the evening. And that was every day. Saturdays were slightly different. He'd be back mid-afternoon, and then he'd be knackered. He'd be sat in front of the telly, and woe betide you if you spoke when the football scores and being read out and he was doing his pulls. But we saw very little of him. We saw slightly more of my grandmother, but she worked in the same place. And she was in early again. We'd perhaps see her at about 4 o'clock. She'd be back. But over the week, there was very, very little time with them. And the reason for that was that they ran a business. It was their business. Grandfather was at the centre of it. He was doing everything. He was going out. He was winning the work, supervising the workforce. He was supervising what was going on site. He was the person that dealt with all those issues when there were problems with clients. He did everything. He was at the centre of it. And my grandmother was right there alongside him. Now, they worked in that business into their 80s. They died within a few months of each other. And up until the point when when my grandmother fell ill, they were both working full-time in the business. And the sad thing about that, whatever it was, 50 odd years that they had the business, they were working silly hours. And along the way, they were just investing the time, investing the money back into the business. And all of it with a view really to that being the inheritance for my mother and her sister, my aunt. But when they did finally leave the business, having become ill, there was nothing. The business was worthless. And that was simply because they had built a business that couldn't exist without them. There were lots of staff, there was lots of contracts, but the moment they went, everything just fell apart. So my question to you is, do you want to carry on in the way that my grandparents did, working long hours, poor work-life balance, perhaps neglecting the family to some extent, not deliberately, but it's almost an inevitable side effect of it? Or do you want to build a business that can thrive without you, that leaves you free to enjoy a better work-life balance? Hi, I'm Tristan. I run a company called Rivian Consulting, but I started my life as an engineering geologist. My working life as an engineering geologist, I spent 12 or so years working for engineering consultants. Much of that time I was hanging off cliffs. I reached a point though where I decided that was the time for a change. I did an MBA and then I spent some time working for the Economist Intelligence Unit as a business analyst. And that really got me interested in what it is that makes companies tick. From there, I was headhunted to go and work as a business consultant within a large construction company. So it led me on a path of getting involved with starting up business units. I guess I spent probably 20 odd years now doing that, building businesses, built assets now of around £500 million. And along the way, some of those companies have been sold. It's really what has led me to the path where I am now, where I can take that knowledge and apply it to business owners out in the private sector. So if you found this video useful, then please do like it, comment on it, share it, and subscribe. And as I say, if you found it useful, then please do pass it on to others that may benefit from it as well.